A widowed millionaire tested his girlfriend with triplets, but the maid uncovered his secret. The morning sun poured through the towering windows of Harrington Estate like a spotlight exposing a hidden truth, and in the middle of that golden glare stood Marcus Levington, a widowed millionaire clutching 3 crying babies as if the world itself were collapsing around him. His hands trembled, his jaw tightened, and for a brief, flickering second, even the staff watching from a distance felt a shiver of dread because no one had ever seen him look that terrified. It was the moment everything changed, the moment an impossible lie began, and the moment the maid, quiet, observant Vera, felt a knot in her stomach that whispered, "Something here is very, very wrong." And as the babies screamed and Marcus stared at the woman he claimed to love, it became clear that nothing in this mansion was what it seemed. Filled right pointing pointer. If you believe kindness, honesty, and second chances matter in this world, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness Stories. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people. Marcus Levington had been a widower for 4 years and a father to no one. His late wife, Helena, had died unexpectedly, leaving him a broken man who buried his pain under wealth, routine, and silence. The mansion echoed with emptiness, until Grace Thorne entered his life like a warm breeze after a long winter. Grace was lively, ambitious, stunning, and charming in a way that made everyone look twice. She had met Marcus at a charity gala, and within months, she was spending most of her time with him, floating through the mansion as though she was already the woman of the house. Everyone but Marcus assumed a proposal was on the horizon. And perhaps it would have been, if not for an unsettling fear that grew inside him. Marcus had wealth, influence, and a vulnerable heart still aching from loss. He couldn't risk falling for someone who only loved the lifestyle, not the man. So he devised a test. One so unusual that even he questioned his sanity. He wanted to see how Grace reacted to responsibility, especially responsibility that offered nothing in return. So one morning, without warning, he summoned Grace to the living room, where 3 infants sat in 3 bassinets. Their tiny fists waved in the air, their faces red from crying, their cries echoing across the white marble tiles. Grace froze. "Marcus, whose babies are these?" Marcus inhaled deeply and delivered the lie that would spiral into the greatest turning point of his life. "They're mine," he said. "Triplets. From a surrogate I never told you about." The room fell silent, except for the cries of the babies. Even the staff stiffened. Vera, the maid who had quietly and faithfully served the Levington family for 7 years, dropped the silver tray she was carrying. The clang echoed like a gunshot. She had cleaned every room, washed every dish, ironed every shirt, and heard every thick silence in this house. And she knew, with soul-deep certainty, that Marcus Levington had never, not once, prepared for fatherhood. No nursery. No baby supplies. No meetings. No signs. Nothing. Grace blinked, her mouth tight with shock, confusion, and something Vera silently recognized: anger. Grace had envisioned a glamorous future, not diaper changes and midnight feedings. Marcus watched her carefully, studying her reaction like a man gambling his last bet. Grace hesitated before stepping closer, her heels clicking sharply on the floor. She forced a smile. "Well, congratulations, I guess. This is unexpected." Marcus studied her face but said nothing. Over the next several hours, Grace's reactions painted a clearer picture. She didn't lift the babies when they cried. She didn't help Vera when she struggled to calm all 3 at once. Instead, Grace sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, glancing up only when Marcus looked her way. She complained about the noise. She ordered takeout instead of helping prepare lunch. She made jokes about renting a nanny squad. She even whispered to a friend over the phone, not softly enough, that this whole situation is ruining her plans. Vera pretended not to hear, but her heart sank. Marcus, however, was locked somewhere between disappointment and regret. His plan was working, but witnessing it hurt more than he expected. Grace wasn't cruel. She was simply uninterested, detached, and bothered by anything that didn't revolve around pleasure. Marcus saw it now with a harsh clarity he couldn't ignore. Yet the test wasn't the whole truth. There was more, something only Vera would come to know. Later that afternoon, after the babies finally fell asleep, Marcus retreated to his study. Vera entered quietly with fresh tea. But she paused when she found him hunched over his late wife's journal. Tears clung to his lashes, his fingers trembling over Helena's handwritten notes.